today. Who pissed in Ronda Rousey's cornflakes is the real question. Yeah, I know. You're like, what? Who's asking that question? Apparently, the UFC needs to be asking that question along with TKO. And what about Maycee Barber, who will compete this weekend against Alexa Grasso, taking shots at the GOAT, Valentina Shevchenko? What's going on there? And it looks like to me that a few UFC fighters have finally figured out mastering the algorithm. All of this and more on today's episode of Matter of Fact MMA. What's up? What's happening? Let's go. What's up, guys? We right back at it. We right back with it. It's your boy Matt, and we are here. We are cruising into UFC Seattle weekend, where we're going to see Israel Adesanya take on Joe Pyfer. As well as in the co-main event, we're going to see Maycee Barber take on Alexa Grasso. This is a huge fight in the 125-pound division, or the flyweight division. But I'm going to double back to that double main event, but let's talk about Ronda Rousey. Rowdy Ronda Rousey. As this woman is moving and pimping the algorithm like no other. So let's get off into it. So, we already know, okay, Ronda comes out, she says she's going to come back to fighting, she's going to step in a cage with Gina Carano for Netflix. And she spins it and hypes it, and it was like taking shots at the UFC, like the UFC didn't want to make this fight, or, you know, that they don't want to pay for this fight. So we out here. We out here. We on Netflix. We doing our thing, and we going to beat the White House card numbers. Aight. Cool. Fine. We all just kind of was like, okay, Ronda's popping her ish, and that's cool. We just going to let her do her thing, right? Then they do the press conference between her and Gina Carano. Francis Ngannou is now up there, along with Felipe Lins. And Gina Carano tells Ariel Helwani, who was the main guy, he was the host of this press conference, she tells him that Dana White approached her years ago in 2024 about doing the fight with Ronda Rousey, because Ronda had approached Dana. This was key, and I mentioned this in one of my previous videos, because then Ronda had to double back and admit that the UFC was going to make this fight. It was going to be either the main event or the co-main event of the last UFC before they went to Paramount in 2025, so December of last year. Ronda Rousey was going to face Gina Carano, and she admitted the UFC rolled out the red carpet, was going to give them the money they wanted, probably the pay-per-view points, the everything that they needed. But Gina Carano wasn't going to be in shape in time. So that wasn't going to happen. When Ronda tried to double back again, as the UFC is known to do, aka John Jones, when they tried to double back to him and get him to fight on the White House card, but they didn't want to give him that 30 milli that they was going to give to him to fight Tom Aspinall. When she doubles back around, the UFC's like, Ronda, this is the Paramount show. You know what I mean? We got new bosses. I mean, what you trying to pull? We can't just be forking up all of these millions to you and Gina, just throw them out there. So the deal got nixed, and it didn't happen. So then Ronda Rousey waged war on the UFC since then. And also is extended to TKO, which is the parent company that now owns the UFC. It's kind of a big conglomeration of an entertainment company, the UFC, and WWE. So Ronda has gone off. Now at first this looked like same old bitter Ronda that we've been dealing with or seeing for years. But Ronda's been out here igniting fires amongst the stars in the UFC, amongst the fans of mixed martial arts, and really just it's almost a babyface turn. It's almost like she's becoming a good guy when we've been hating her for years, because she's out here exposing that the UFC is not going to make the fights that you want to see. They're not going to put the stars in the main events. They're not going to pit the stars against each other and make these huge fights because they got to pay out a lot of money to do so, and now they're beholden, you know what I'm saying, to the shareholders, aka Paramount. You know what I'm saying? And so they're trying to keep as much money in the pot, meaning we're not trying to pay out all of these huge salaries to make these huge fights. Ronda's been the main one putting the flashlight on this, right? I know everyone's been talking about this for years, right? But Ronda is really highlighting this right now. And I'm not a Ronda Rousey fan, but let's talk about this. She's been getting a lot of backlash in a way on social media, right? I think all the real deal, true hardcore fans know Ronda's out here speaking some truth about what the UFC is doing. And so when you look at this Netflix card, Ronda Rousey has been spearheading this, and Netflix is providing the foundation because they're actually spending some money. MVP, Most Valuable Promotions, which is, you know, ran by Jake Paul, they're out here spending money. They're bringing over your Francis Ngannou's. They got, hold on, let me check this card, bro. We also got Makayev is going to fight on this card. Junior Dos Santos versus Despain, who was, you know, he was kicked out of the UFC, let go a little while ago. I mean, they've even signed Alex Pereira's sister to fight on this card. I mean, then not, like I said, Francis Ngannou, Felipe Lins, Nate Diaz versus Mike Perry. You know what I'm saying? They're really digging deep for all of this. But I see a little bit of backlash online at Ronda's a hater, Ronda's being bitter because Dana didn't want to fork up millions to watch fighters to fight. But you also got to look at this other side of the game where Ronda Rousey is pimping the algorithm. If Ronda had just made this fight between her, Netflix, and Gina Carano, and she's just all happy-go-lucky, yeah, we went to the UFC and they weren't able to do this, but that's fine, and shout out to them, and I hope their White House card goes great, and I love everyone over there, but we're gonna fight on Netflix, me and Gina. No one would really be worried about this. No one, you would check for it and you're going to watch it because it's free, because for the most part we all got Netflix, even though they're about to do a rate increase. But nevertheless though, we would all still check it out, but there wouldn't be a lot of fire behind it, right? What is creating the fire centered around this card is Ronda is drawing a line in the sand and making it about this Netflix show versus the UFC. It's not even on the same night, but versus the numbers that the White House card is going to do. And that's the way she's positioned it. And she is doing her thing to make this huge. You know what I'm saying? To make this fight card huge. And no one would really be checking for it. Even if once they started adding all these stars, everyone would kind of look at it like, man, these are stars from yesteryear. I ain't tripping on this. I want to see what the UFC is doing this year. But by her drawing that line in the sand and making it about us versus them, that's what's got people checking. Everyone's checking about this Netflix card. That's what I'm talking about pimping the algorithm. Again, I'm not a Ronda fan at all, but you got to take your hat off to the girl, boop, because she is creating an awareness and a want to check out this Netflix card that I don't think would have been there had everyone just been rah rah, yeah, shout out to the UFC, but we couldn't get that fight done, but we're over here with Jake Paul and we're going to do it. Especially when you know how much money Netflix has, and that if this is a success, who knows how much money they will put into future MMA shows alongside Jake Paul. So, very interesting, but we also talking about pimping this algorithm. We also talking about Ronda Rousey taking shots at people. Now, Ronda Rousey has gotten so deep in this war against TKO, right, that she has started showing up on AEW. I know y'all don't know what that is, but it's a rival company to the WWE in professional wrestling. She's showing up over there trying to drum up some excitement for this Netflix card, and also showing up over there as a slap in the face of TKO because she wouldn't re-sign a contract with the WWE and bashed them and badmouthed all of them. What I'm telling y'all is this woman is digging deep. She digging deep. And she's really out here trying to show I'm not effing with none of y'all on that TK side. If you want to be down with TK on the UFC, F you. If you want to, she's on that Tupac-ish, you know what I'm saying? She's kicking off her song talking about that's why I effed your card, you fat mother. That's what she's doing, you know what I'm saying? Bro, very interesting. But when you're talking about pimping the algorithm, she even took shots at Valentina Shevchenko, who apparently might have an OnlyFans. I don't know. I ain't checked. But nevertheless, she was taking shots at her, talking about the UFC don't pay their fighters well. That's why Valentina has to do this. Valentina said a few things back, talked about Ronda isn't aware of a lot of things, a lot of the connections between the fighters and the fans. She might still be sleeping from her last knockout. Now, let's enter this weekend's co-main event, Alexa Grasso versus Maycee Barber. Maycee Barber was asked about this on MMA Fighting Show with Mike Heck. Shout out to Mike Heck, tremendous journalist. Nevertheless, man, Maycee Barber takes shots at Valentina Shevchenko. When this was brought up about what to make of Ronda Rousey and talking about Valentina and this Netflix card. And she was basically like, if Ronda Rousey hadn't stepped aside in the sport, Valentina Shevchenko wouldn't even be a thing. She wouldn't even be relevant. Okay, that's a lot to say. That's kind of jumping out on the ledge. She then talked about Valentina would make more money and be more successful if she knew or had a personality. She knew how to talk or she had a personality. She also talked about that when as it pertained to other fighters in the division, that Dana White wasn't looking for a point fighter to be the champion of his division going into this Paramount era. Now, on its face, right, head on, what Maycee is saying is like, yo, like, put some respect on Valentina Shevchenko's name, alright? Because let's be real, Valentina gets Ronda up out of there inside of one round. Let's be honest. She gets her up out of there outside of one round. Spin kick and all. She's getting her up out of there, right? Maycee Barber, it might take more than one round, but I'm going to be real with you. I think Valentina beats her all 7 days of the week. I think she beats Maycee Barber. I'm not saying she's going to do it in a round, but I think she beats her all 7 days of the week. Twice on Sunday, you know what I'm saying? But with that being said, shout out to Maycee Barber, because Maycee Barber is on that Ronda Rousey tip. If Maycee wasn't out here chirping, saying things about Valentina, relating it to Ronda, talking about the new era, the Paramount era, and Dana White wanting these to be action fights. I mean, let's be real. Maycee's saying this and she hasn't finished a woman in 6 to 7 fights was like her last finish, but that we're going to put that to the side. But I'm still going to shout Maycee Barber out, because Maycee Barber is creating awareness around this Alexa Grasso fight. Now, you kind of wanted to see it before, because Alexa ain't doing nothing to sell the fight. You know, Alexa ain't doing nothing, period. And it's probably going to take a L to Maycee Barber. But nevertheless, Maycee Barber is pimping that algorithm. You know what I'm saying? Because I've been seeing this clip of her talking to Mike Heck popping up everywhere on all the socials. She's pimping that algorithm, which will get people to tune in and care about this fight between her and Alexa Grasso. You're not going to care a ton, but you're going to care a little bit more if nobody was saying anything. You know what I'm saying? And if she's able to put away or to beat, especially finish, because you ain't did it in 6 or 7 fights, if she's able to finish Alexa Grasso or win that fight handily, she might have really put herself in position, especially if Valentina chirps back at her, takes shots at Maycee Barber. She might have talked her way into a title shot, because I don't think the UFC is too eager to throw Natalia Silva out there against Valentina after her last performance against Rose Namajunas. She won the fight, but it wasn't like a performance that's blowing the barn doors off, you know what I'm saying? So if Maycee goes out there and beats Alexa in a very convincing way, or finishes her, gets on the mic and pops her ish against Valentina Shevchenko, she might have talked her way into a title shot by pimping that algorithm, aka Ronda Rousey style. So shout out to all these women involved. Shout out to Ronda, shout out to Maycee, shout out to the GOAT, Valentina Shevchenko. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to all of them, shout out to the Netflix, shout out to Jake Paul and MVP for putting it all together. No shout out to Dana White, because he ain't paying to get the good fights. But we're going to see how all this is going to turn out, and it's going to be appointment viewing on Saturday night to see what happens between Alexa Grasso and Maycee Barber. So, please like, subscribe, comment, let me know, let all your friends know about Matt and Matter of Fact MMA. Let me know what you think about Ronda, the Netflix card, the lineup they're putting forth. Let me know what you think about Maycee and Valentina. And once again, I do want to thank you guys for joining me for another episode of Matter of Fact MMA. And I'll check you next time.